case was referred for a pre-sentence report investigation, victim impact statements, and drug and alcohol psychological evaluation. We are here today for purposes of sentencing. Defendant is present with his counsel, Mr. Tim Deeb.
The defense lawyer claims that the defendant was emotionally devastated by the breakdown of his marriage. He contends that the defendant received great support from his family and employer, sought counseling, and cooperated with the police. The attorney requests that the court take into account his emotional state and absence of violent behavior in the past.
This was a difficult situation for Robert. The demise of his marriage started to take place at the beginning of the year, and it was a downward spiral for him. And mentally, that's been very tough for him. They have 3 boys together, and that was his life for the most part. He did not handle the way things transpired. The police were called on numerous occasions because they were arguing, and they got to the point where the police needed to be called. And then it further went to the point where they decided to separate and divorce. And given that situation, the 3 boys in his marriage, Robert did not handle that very well. He did start to go to counseling. I know there's a discrepancy of the facts, but he did tell the police generally what he had done, though he did not say it as specifically or as harshly as the witnesses did. But that is with most people. When they talk about their own wrongdoings, they take the edge off. So he did tell the police he went there, he did have the gun, he showed him where it was. And since then, he enrolled himself in counseling, though he still has a long road to go. His family is supporting him, and he has a place to stay with his mother. His employer is holding his job. And they've been doing that for a while. However, they're not entirely certain as to how long they'll be able to do that. But right now, he does have a job for the near future at the same place where they're going. I believe he's making $44 per hour with the availability of overtime. We ask for community control, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vian, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
The defendant expresses regret to his spouse and acknowledges that he was not the ideal father or spouse. He describes how he found out she was unfaithful, tried counseling, and was taken aback when she abruptly requested a divorce. He claims that the confrontation resulted from this emotional spiral, but he disputes that he intended to harm anyone.
Your Honor. You stand for silence. You.
First, I want to apologize to my wife. I never intended to ever put my hands on her for essentially upsetting my family, by not being the role model for my kids that I should have been. It has been a rough year for me. At the beginning of the year, I found out my wife was cheating on me. And then from there, after that, we had enrolled in marriage counseling to try to help get through it. Our marriage counselor had a few issues, so we kind of stopped going to those, but I was trying to do things to spend time with her after the kids went to bed to try to have a good marriage. I thought things were starting to go better. She acted like they were. She was telling me things like she missed me and she loved me and stuff like that. So I thought we were starting to get on a better page. And then at the end of June, I came home from work and she told me she wanted a divorce. And when she told me she wanted a divorce and I started digging, she's been talking to somebody else the whole time and I didn't know it. I thought she had stopped talking to him. And from there, I had a hard couple days and I started to get my head around it. And we had mutually talked and came up to an agreement that nobody at the house, nobody around the kids or anything like that, to try and be respectful to each other. And 2 days later is when she had her boyfriend at my house all day while I was at work and taunting me, saying that, basically telling me that I have no, it doesn't matter how I feel about it, she's going to do what she wants to. And when I went to the daycare to pick up the kids, I found out that she had him there too, which violated 2 things that we had just agreed on a couple days earlier. So on top of finding out that I'm getting divorced, and my family's falling apart. And the last little bit of trust I had in her, she ripped that out too, and I overreacted. However, it was all under emotions and just feeling betrayed by somebody that I've loved for 7 years. Fell head over heels in love with, and honestly, the first person I was truly in love with. I just want to get back to work and help my kids grow up. I continue with counseling, get through this divorce, and try to provide for my kids. But I know I messed up that day. I overreacted.
The defendant's account of events is contested by the court. He challenges him by pointing out inconsistencies in his account, witness account, and the gravity of the gun threat. The judge notes that he was described by several witnesses as aggressively approaching the boyfriend and his wife, putting everyone in risk.
Well, why don't you tell me what you did?
So on that day, I was at work, and I found out that she had him at the house. We got into an argument on the phone, and I went to the daycare to pick up the kids. I had called them because she does have a history of alcohol abuse, which she's done some work on, and I didn't know if this was out of her being drunk or whatever. I called the daycare and asked them not to let her take them because she was acting irrational that day. And then they called her.
What did she do that you concluded she was acting irrational that day?
Because before all this, we had 2 days prior, we just agreed, and she agreed that we wouldn't have anybody at the house, and
Okay.
she was basically making a mockery out of me on the phone.
You perceive what was going on that day as her mocking you.
Her mocking
So
me.
who was being irrational here?
And she,
Just ask a question.
I guess I was.
Well, you told me that she was being irrational,
Well-
and the irrationality was somebody was over your house that you didn't want to be there.
Correct. And we.
Okay, so go ahead from there.
And so from there, I proceeded to go to the daycare, not expecting her to be there. When I got there,
Well, if
she
you
had
weren't,
him there.
why did you call the daycare to tell them not to let her pick the kids up if you didn't
I was
expect?
trying to get there.
If you
Sorry.
didn't expect her to be there, why would you call them then?
I was trying to get there before her, and I didn't know what kind of state she was in
Okay,
because she had him with her,
okay,
and I didn't want my kids around him.
okay. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and so when I pulled in, I parked behind her vehicle to make sure that she couldn't leave, and I did not know he was there at that point.
Well,
And
your fear was that she was going to show up with him.
well, my fear was that she was going to take the kids. She had him with her at one point, so I didn't know that he was still with her. I wanted to take the kids.
Hold on. You're telling me things that don't make sense, okay? You didn't want her to pick up the kids, but you didn't expect her to be there. You saw him with her that day, but you didn't expect him to be with her. So you blocked the car in. Why?
I blocked the car in so that I could take the boys with me because I didn't know what was going on with her.
So that car was parked head in, blocked, and you came in behind it and parked?
Yes, and then he exited the vehicle before I could get out of the truck and started threatening me.
Threatening you how?
Started balling up his fist and like shrugging and started moving towards me like he wanted to get into a fight.
While you were still in your car?
As I was opening the door to get out.
Okay. And how close did he get to you?
Probably within 10 feet.
Okay, and then what happened?
And that's when I had reached into the truck and grabbed my gun.
Okay. And then what?
And I pointed it at him to try to get him to move back.
And what did he do?
He essentially did move back and turned away from me, which is when I put the gun back in the truck, locked it, and proceeded inside to go get,
Okay,
try to get my kids.
So I'm looking at Kayla Workman's statement. She noted that Jesse did not touch or approach Robert during the argument. She did not know who either man was until she was told after the fact. She only identified them as the first man who pulled up in the black truck and the man in the red shirt that was already in the lot standing next to her car. She witnessed the man who got out of the black truck yell at the man in the red shirt. The man who got out of the truck stopped yelling, walked to his truck, went inside, came back out holding a handgun. Then he then walked towards the man in the red shirt and pointed the gun at the man in the red shirt, and she heard him say, and this is the quote, "I'm going to fucking kill you." So are you telling me that never happened?
I never said that I was going to kill him.
Okay, what about the rest of it?
And I turned out of my truck. I never advanced towards him.
Okay. So then there's the next door unit, Maxim's, Angela Maxim, who works there. She was walking out the back door of Maxim's to go to her car. She saw a black Ford F-150 pull up into the daycare center lot. She observed a male get out of the truck and began yelling at a man in a red shirt who was already in the lot standing next to a car. She noted that the two never touched one another. During a brief pause in the yelling, she observed the man who got out of the black truck return to his vehicle and moments later come back out pointing a black handgun at a male in the red shirt. So that happened?
I pointed a gun at him.
Why would you point a gun at somebody who doesn't have
Because I felt
a weapon threatening you?
Because he is bigger than me and I felt threatened. I just worked 10 hours out in the sun. I was beat.
Okay. All right. So what happened when you went into the daycare center?
When, upon entering the daycare, I had seen my wife walking towards me, and she gave me a look like, "Ha, I got you."
All right. So the look that she gave you, you interpreted to be, "Ha, I got you."
Yes.
Okay. Now, was that irrational or was that rational? So that implies that you think she set you up somehow. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How did she set you up?
She did all this to mentally abuse me.
Okay.
She's been doing this stuff to mentally abuse me for the past few months. She made me feel like we were actually going to be a great family. And
Okay.
then
So what happened after she gave you the ha look, "I got you"?
I had turned and pinned her up against the wall
How did you do that?
with my hands against her. I pinned her shoulders against the wall.
You pinned her shoulders against the wall. Why do people in the daycare say something that isn't even close to that? Why do they say that you came in, grabbed her around the neck, and picked her up off the ground holding her against the wall?
Sir, I do not remember ever picking her up.
Okay, well, why are these people part of the plot to get you also?
I don't know why they're saying it. I don't know if it looked that way. I do not remember ever picking her up off the ground.
Okay.
I truly am sorry for everything.
Where were your kids when all this was going on inside the daycare?
They were inside the daycare. I did not know they were coming down the hallway behind them.
Okay. How many other kids were in the daycare?
I don't know.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
his mother would like to address the court on his
Okay.
behalf.
Tell me your name and tell me whatever it is you want me to know.
The mother of the defendant begs the judge to believe that her son is a decent man who made a grave error. She talks about how the wife frequently got into arguments and once cut his tire. Instead of locking him up, she pleads with the court to be merciful and allow her to take him home.
My name's Billy Dionne. I'm Robert's mother. Robert's the fifth of 6 boys. He's never been in trouble before. And I have been asked to come into their marriage because every time they had an argument, Josie would call me to come over to their house to calm things down. And at one point, she called me on one argument, and I went over there. And while I was there, I come in, I asked, what's going on? Bob wasn't there at the time. I call him Bob. Bob was not there. And she said he left in his truck. Well, he seen me coming down the road, so he turned around and come back. And at that point, he said, I wanted to just get away from it. I didn't want to argue. At that point, she comes out of the garage with a steak knife. And right in front of me, she stabs his tire all the way through with a flimsy steak knife. And she looked at me and she's like, I can't believe I really did that. He did try to de-escalate things. He tried to walk away, and that wasn't good enough. I know I'm a mother. I do not condone anything that happened that day. Nothing. I am a mother. When my boys do wrong, they do wrong. My husband and I brought them up to be honest, caring people. I've got 5 other boys that have not gotten into trouble. Bob made some very poor decisions on that day. He is the son that, when my husband was dying of cancer, my husband would only let him pick him up and move him from room to room. Bob has helped me many, many times. I've watched him with newborn babies of his, take care of them, bathe them, feed them, play with them, take them places. I have not seen him mad. God, it's been so long since I've seen him really mad. Even when they were arguing and she would call me, it was always her calling me, I would go over and he would not throw her underneath the bus. He would just say, we're arguing, it's done now. That one moment defined his whole life. It was wrong. I'm not going to say it was right, because he was not raised in a family of abusers. My husband never laid a hand on me. I'm just begging you to let me take him home, because my fiance died in January, so I'm on my own again, and Bob is living with me and helping me. And I'm 72 years old, almost 73. And he is the one that's taking care of me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Nothing further.
A child care instructor provides a comprehensive and poignant description. She tells how the defendant scared 10 young children by storming into the daycare and grabbing his wife by the neck. She claims that as the mayhem developed, she worried about their safety and even reached for a chair to shield them.
Hi, I'm Julia Ball. I'm a teacher to Robert and Josie's children. They are in my classroom. I've known he was 6 weeks old and I've been taking care of him. They spend a lot of time at daycare. It's their second home. A lot of my kids can get there at 6:30 in the morning and they leave at 5:30 at night. So sometimes I spend 55 hours a week with some of these kids, and and they struggle a lot. These are kids that have struggled a lot with being rough physically. When they were younger, they needed a lot of redirecting. I've helped a lot to fix the behaviors that Robert has put onto them, taught them. The oldest, struggling a lot because of him. Your kids don't miss you. They talk about how daddy.
Hold on. Hold on a minute.
I am very.
Hold on. I want this directed toward the inducing
Yes.
panic, okay? I don't want
Okay.
you talking to him, okay?
Yes.
Go ahead.
On the day of the incident, that was one of the scariest day of my life. I work in the front of the building. I was in my classroom with 10 2-year-olds when this happened. The day of the incident, Robert called the daycare, and it was a little weird. He's never called to say, hey, I'm coming to pick up the kids early. Normally they get picked up at 5:30. He called, he said, don't let Josie take the kids. She's an alcoholic, don't let her take my kids. They're both on the pickup list, I'm not allowed to do that. So I call Josie and they say, hey, I'm being instructed not to let your kids leave with you. Are you coming to pick them up? Is everything okay? She comes, she gets there first, she picks them up, she's in a hurry, she grabs them. At this point, I don't know what's going on, but I see fear and a lot of moving fast, putting kids' shoes on, trying to get out the door. Before she can make it out the door, Kayla Workman comes in and says, there's a man outside in the parking lot with a gun, and he pulled it out in front of my kids. At that point, Robert's already trying to get in. My co-teacher is holding the door, trying to hold him out, but he has a key fob. You can't keep him out. He has his hands behind his back. He comes in. Josie has the kids. She says to me, take my kids, grab them as fast as I can. I'm holding them. They're screaming, Daddy, Daddy. They're so excited to see their dad. And before I know it, Josie's up against my art wall by her neck. He's screaming at her, I'm going to kill you. Kayla Workman and my coworker rip him off of Josie. We are trying to push him out the door. He will not leave. I have 10 toddlers in my classroom crying, screaming. I pick up a chair and I just run at him to try to push him out of the door. And he's standing there with his hands behind his back, staring at me. And I don't know, am I going to get shot right now, or is he going to turn around and is he going to walk away? I don't know what his plan was that day and why he wanted to be there to get those kids first. But to call, to try to take the kids, to bring a gun, I don't know what he was going to do that day. But if he was irrational, he would have done anything to hurt her and hurt those kids. When he was out on bond, I couldn't sleep at night. I drove to her house to make sure she was okay. I couldn't answer the door at work. We were all scared. We had families threatening to pull their kids out of the daycare because they were afraid. We had to take down family photos in the classroom of him because his kids wouldn't stop pointing at them and pointing at the corner and saying, Daddy did it, Daddy hurt Mommy. I've been babysitting them to help so that Josie can work.